What's poppin', beauties? Welcome back to my channel, but if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. As you can tell in the title, I'm going to be talking to y'all a little bit about when I went to nursing school, like my not so much like the bad parts of it, but more about like the good parts and the patients that I ran into and stuff like that. So if you are interested, then keep on watching. Now, to get into my schooling, I did go to Career Point. It's closed down now, but I had already graduated before it closed down. It closed down maybe like a good year or so around there, after I had like graduated. So the first half of school was basically like book work and stuff like that, and then the second half was clinicals. So I want to talk more about my clinicals. Now, I do remember the first patient that I ever had, and he was such a sweetheart. It was so like fun to work with him, and I'm not talking about these people as if they're like objects, so don't ever think that, because like I have a heart for people. Straight into talking about my first patient. So I'm not gonna say their names or anything like that, where I went, but my first patient, he was an older male, and he had, I believe, like dementia, Alzheimer's kind of, so he forgot pretty often, you know, like what was happening throughout his day. At the beginning of our clinicals, you had to partner up with somebody. So I did have a partner for like my first few patients and stuff like that, and then we got to choose our patient and then like go off from there by ourselves. One time, me and my partner had went to go walk him to go take a shower, and this patient, he was able to shower by himself. We just had to kind of stand by to make sure that he didn't slip or anything like that. So after his shower was all done, we took him back to his room, and then it was around lunchtime, so we kind of got him comfy. But before we got him comfy, we left him in the restroom because he was like shaving, and then he was like combing his hair and stuff like that. So after he did that, then we went ahead and left, and he was like on his little recliner watching his TV. We were just gonna come back later to go ahead and walk him to his table that he had at the nursing home. Honestly, guys, it was a good maybe like 10, no more than 15 minutes that we were gone, and then we went back to go get him to walk him to lunch. So we go inside his room, and then he is standing on top of his chair, and he is like reaching on top of his closet, and we look at him and we're like, we kind of like were in shock for a little bit, but then we were like, we kind of went to him and we were like, Mr. So-and-so, we were like,
what are you doing? You know, you need to get down. That's not safe for you.
And stuff like that. And he's like, no. He's like, these two girls that came in to take me a shower, they came in and they took my money. And then we kind of like looked at each other and we were like,
we were the two girls that took you to shower.
So like, we were kind of like, oh my gosh, like what do we do, you know? So we went ahead and we called the nurse, and she came and like she talked to him, and he eventually got down. And they don't even like keep money like that inside the nursing home. Usually like people bring stuff for them, or like they go out to buy this stuff, but they don't. The nurse told me that they never really like keep the money inside their rooms, like the patients have it themselves. So that was really something, because to just walk back in the room and then be accused of that, I mean, like, we didn't take it to heart because we knew that he forgot a lot of stuff very often, but we were just kind of like, what? Like, we didn't expect it. We hadn't seen that change switch like that so fast working with him. So once we like went into the room and like that happened, we were kind of like, oh shoot. But yeah, like that was my first patient like ever that I ever had in my clinicals. Now, I don't know them in order like patient
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But I've had quite a few patients, and also like kind of tagged along with some of my other classmates and stuff like that to, you know, see what this patient has and kind of learn the whole nursing routine and everything. Now, the other patient that stands out to me that went to the same facility, she has like a cute little name. I keep wanting to like say their name, but I can't. So basically, this patient, I was already able to work by myself. Other classmates were able to actually go through charts and then pick a patient that they wanted. So we were able to look at what they were diagnosed with and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. So there wasn't too many psych patients in this facility because it was just a nursing home. So there's not too many there. I did find one patient and she was a psych patient. So the first time that I went inside this patient's room, I had to do a head to toe assessment on her, which was basically taking her vitals. And she was kind of just there like in a daze, like sitting on the edge of the bed, and she was kind of just staring out. So I was kind of already a little bit like not scared, but like a little scared. So I was kind of just like, I kind of like kept my distance a little, you know, and I kind of just asked the questions and stuff from afar. But once I had to do something, I told her like, okay, I'm gonna have to, you know, go to your arm to take your blood pressure, you know, and stuff like that. So she'll be like, okay. She was actually really easy with like getting her vitals and everything. But the few days that I had her, it was actually pretty interesting because she started talking about that she would be on TV at night and she would be like singing and dancing, and she's like, yeah, tune in and watch me. And then the next day that I would go, she's like, did you see me and stuff like that? And I would be like, oh yeah, I did. I was like, you sang so beautiful. And she's like, I know, thank you so much. And I'm just like, oh my god, like, okay, she's so cute. So then she also tells me that her and Bill Clinton were like a thing, and that like she used to like forge checks, like the signatures and stuff like that, and that Hillary Clinton found out and that she reported her, and she had ended up going to jail for a little bit because she was jealous and all this stuff. Like she has like this imagination, but the thing is like they believe that it happened, you know, and stuff like that with having the diseases that they do, you know, like the Alzheimer's and dementia. Now we kind of just started talking after that about like anything, you know, but I was kind of like looking through her room to kind of catch subject of what she likes and stuff, because she had all these paintings and everything. So I'm like, oh, you like painting? And it was like if she just like splattered stuff, but I mean, she's like, yeah, and she would tell you what the image was that she wanted to paint, you know, that she actually painted on her picture and everything. So there was a time that we were in her room and she was like getting ready and she was doing her makeup, and so I was like, oh, you do your makeup? Like, oh, like what do you use and stuff like that. And so she was telling me, and then she got so serious and she's like, well, I'm running out. She's like, so can you go to the store for me? Do you think they would let you? And I was like, I don't know, I can ask. And she's like, okay, good. She's like, well, let me start making a list. And like, oh my god, I kept that list for the longest time. We moved so many times, so I honestly don't know where it's at since then. But like, she made her little list, and it was like foundation, mascara, this little cream, some gel, nail polish. Like she had a whole little grocery list. Sadly, I asked the nurses like if I can bring her stuff, you know, and for her and stuff like that, and she told me no, because it's like not fair to just bring, you know, for one patient. She's like, but you can always like donate it to, they have like a little art center, and so she's like, you can always donate stuff to the art center, like, you know, because they also accept like hygiene needs and everything too. So I'm like, okay. So like later that day, once I was already out of school and everything, I ended up going to the Dollar Tree, and I just got like, I think I got like coloring books, I got toothbrushes, I got some paints, I got some nail polishes, and I just got different stuff, and I just like donated it. So, you know, like they have more stuff. And then I told her, I was like, I wasn't able to get it to you. I was like, but if you want it, I was like, you can always go to the art room, you know, and use it over there and stuff. And so I mean, she was still a little mad, but I mean, pretty sure she still went to the art room to go use it. So that was her. So what can I say? She was a pretty interesting patient, like I said in the beginning, but that's like not all I've seen. These patients also had the same name. Are you done? Now these two patients, they had the same name, but one was a female and one was a male, and they were like around the same age. They were older, and this was still in a nursing home. So like I said, there's not like too many psych patients, but I mean, these patients being there for as long as they have been, you know, they kind of get a little like angry or whatever. Now these two patients had already like not liked each other for the longest time, the nurses had said. There was a chair in the front, kind of like, what is it called? Kind of like the main office of the nursing home. So like there was kind of a chair right next to there, and the girl, the female, would go sit there, and then one day the male had went to go sit on that chair, and then she went over there and she just started like telling him, get off my chair and stuff, and he's like, it doesn't have your name on it and everything like that. And so they literally started like arguing, and then they started hitting each other, and then they actually like fell. So they had to like go to the hospital. So they like fought each other, and then they had to get sent to the hospital, both of them. So they weren't there for like a good while, but they did not like each other, like especially the female. Like I would be around her a little bit more, and so I would sit with her. I wouldn't sit with her, but I actually had a patient that sat with her, and that patient that I had, I would like have to help her feeding and stuff. And so whenever I was talking to her, she would be over here talking and stuff, listening to me and talking to me too. So one time she just like started looking at him. So the guy usually wouldn't sit face towards her, he would sit the opposite way. But one day like he sat like face towards her, and I remember she was just like, oh, that big old piece of lard, he's over there looking at me, he's so disgusting, I don't even want him looking at me. Like she was going off, like, oh my gosh. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is so crazy. And then they got sent to the hospital after that happened, after that. But I was just kind of like, man, like I said, this was my first clinical, so this is my first time being in a freaking like a nursing setting, an actual, you know, real one and stuff, besides when I was going to school, which I didn't. School is just books, you know, it's not having to deal with the patients and the ones that actually their moods change like this or stuff like that, like actually dealing with it hands-on. Like it's something else, but like it's a fun experience, and like I loved it so much. And I'm saying I loved it as in I loved it for the experience, just because I love doing different things, and to be able to have done that and gotten the experience that I did, or the knowledge. Now I can tell you honestly, I don't remember everything from nursing school, but I do have stuff that I remember. Okay, now there's one other facility that I want to talk about, and there's quite a few patients in there that are pretty interesting, because this is a psych facility that I went to. So all the patients in there have in their chart psych, you know, a psych patient. And so every day was an adventure, every day was something new. And I think I had, at a point when I was like into the nursing and everything, I wanted to work with psych, you know, like, and work with their mentality, you know, like, and it can be very hard because, like I said, like they change very fast. But I mean, like, at least I'll never get bored, you know, and that's the type of person I want to be. Like, I don't ever want to be bored. So at this facility, there was this girl that she was sitting down, and it's kind of like a big old room, the lunch room. So everybody's just chilling there, and then on each side was hallways, and that's where their rooms were. So it wasn't really a big facility, but like that's good because of the type of patients that they were. You kind of want to keep a close eye on them. So with this one patient, she was sitting there, and she just sat there like not talking to herself, just looking down like that, like nothing, you know. And so our teacher, he was like, if you want to see antisocial, this lady is actually the definition of antisocial. Like, he's like, go and talk to her and stuff like that, because, you know, of course we have to explore patients and stuff like that, because when you're a nurse, you're gonna run into so many people, so many types of situations and everything like that. So I do give like so much props to the nurses and everything like that, because y'all are real ones, holding it down for all the sick ones. Back to the antisocial girl. I think one of the classmates had went up to her, and I was kind of like behind her a little bit, and she was kind of like, "Hi, what's your name?" And she just like looked up at her, and she like looked back down, and she kind of like the classmate asked her a few more times, and she didn't want to answer, and she kind of was just like, "Do you not want to talk?" And she was like, and then she looked down. So of course, like, she can understand you, but she's just real to herself, and you can literally be diagnosed with that. So look it up if you don't believe me. Now, another patient there, she was something else. Like, she would wear cute little outfits, but the thing was, the stories that she would tell, like, sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, they're digging people up at night over there," and stuff like that, like in the nursing home, but like in the back, like wherever she was pointing. And then she would tell stories how like she used to like prostitute. Eventually, like, I think somebody else had went up to her and had asked her about it, and she's like, no, and like she kind of like walked away. So after a while, like, I guess like so many people were going up to her, and they were asking her, like, they wanted to, I guess, like trigger the part of her that would make her talk about it. And so the teacher eventually was just like, you know, stop asking her questions like that. Like, if she talks about it, then okay, but other than that, like, don't ask her, you know, about her life and stuff. There was this other guy, and he had actually got in trouble the day before for going to a patient's room and hitting him because he was like making noise at night, and he said that he woke him up, and so he got really mad, so he went to his room and he hit him in the face while he was asleep. So I didn't want to get like too close to him, you know, but he was sitting there and he was like coloring and everything. And so I went over there and I was just like, "Oh, what are you coloring?" And he's like, "This right here." He's like, "Look, do you want to try it?" And he was like, "Look, do you want to try it?" And he kind of tried to grab my arm, and like I was like, I kind of like just went back, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "No, it's okay." And like I literally like saved myself because I was like 2 seconds away from him like grabbing me so hard. Like I saw his hand just like, ooh, like an ansias, he just wanted to freaking grab me and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh, quick save. Now there was this other lady. She was so cute, she was so talkative, and she was, I believe, like in the like Japanese category. She used to like clean whenever she had a job and she was working. It's crazy because she had like OCD, so she would clean there, like at like lunch, like if people were done and stuff, she would pick up the trays, she would like wipe down the tables and everything like that, like if she was at work and everything. And so the teacher would just be like, well, that's what she's used to, you know, like she's used to just cleaning and keeping everything nice. So the last patient I wanted to talk about, she was pretty wild. She had a crush on our teacher. He wasn't too old, you know, was like tall and handsome and stuff, but she had a crush on him. And so any patient that went over there and be like, "Oh, so I went out with him," or like, "Oh, so he's my boyfriend," or stuff like that, like she would get so mad. She'll be like, she'll look at you, she's like,
"He's not your boyfriend. He's mine."
And like she would be so serious about it. And then like anytime he would be around, like he would literally have to get a student. Anytime that she passed by, he would have to get a student and like block him, because she'd always try grabbing his junk. She always try like, oh, like every single time, and she'll be like, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you next time," stuff like that. And so we're like, oh my gosh. And so like in the beginning of the class, like it was funny because once he was like giving the tour, and that was his clinical site, so he already knew those patients and their stories and everything. So he was telling us about each patient, and he told us to like, once you see this lady around, don't be like surprised or shocked if I just like grab you and put you in front of me, because I'm blocking myself from, you know, her grabbing onto me and stuff like that. And so yeah, it was just like pretty funny. Overall, I mean, I loved all my patients. At the end of the day, you get connected to them, and you know, once you're there for a little while, you learn their story and, you know, a little bit of their background and everything like that. So it's pretty interesting. But like I said, it just wasn't my feel. I'm more into helping people like talking wise and everything like that, like a little counselor and stuff. Other than that, like I said, I love the experience there. It was fun. It was only a year, so I don't really feel like I wasted a lot of my life. But I mean, I could have, you know, got my diploma and still done that meanwhile. But like I said in another video, like I'm not the type of person, if I don't want to do something, I'm not gonna make myself do it. So yeah, that's just me on a little bit about my nursing life. So if y'all have any questions or anything like that, drop them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Until next time, guys, I will see y'all in another video. Bye.